Chris, just with these couple days off here, like what are you kind of doing to try and let the dust settle on the last series and just kind of get prepared for next round here?
Well, we looked at the commonalities between both teams, highlighted those, and tried to work on those today. And, just some other things that we haven't been able to work on in a little bit. Yeah, it's been good. Got up and down. Guys were great. They had great energy. I think excited to be back in the gym.
Is there anything that kind of stands out just looking back on the Lakers series that you're really kind of focused on to tighten up or going forward?
We're not really looking back at that too much, really, honestly. We're just trying to focus on what we think might be coming down the road, watching these series, and just, things that we might be able to kind of use and keep in our back pocket that we haven't had a chance to kind of really practice for a while. So just using the time to do a variety of things.
What do you think the greatest overlap is between those two opponents?
Well, I think it certainly comes down to a possession game. I think you got to win the possession game against both of them. The way that Houston really crashes the glass, and I think it's something that you can have long been able to exploit Golden State. So with offensive rebounding, so just winning the glass and taking care of the ball, I think that's going to be huge. So.
Chris, Anthony has a remarkable resume for someone his age. He's also had games where he just didn't shoot it that well in the postseason, and you actually won some of those games. Do you just tell him, hey, keep shooting it? How do you coach him up when he's having a bad shooting night?
Yeah, certainly tell him to keep shooting it as long as the shots are good. I thought, he was pressing a little bit. He really wanted to see one go in. He's got a lot of game. He's not just a shooter, so usually in the game in those moments I'll just tell him to get to other parts of his game, but certainly stay ready to knock down shots. But we don't make too big of a deal out of it. Nobody shot the ball particularly well the other day, and we were still able to win. So I think it's a credit to our guys and the other things that they can do to win games.
So you kind of singled out Julius after
Yeah.
Game 5 and how well he played for you in that series. How much of that trustworthy you guys keep talking about, how much of that has really grown with him towards this latter half of the season with the rest of his teammates?
It's grown immensely. I think, just drilling down on continually making the right play, no matter who it is, whether it's Ant, whether it's Julius. We felt when we got Julius that we would have a guy who can give us some on-demand scoring, really get to his shots in a variety of ways and play with a physicality that he showed that he was, and he was huge in that second half. It kind of came to fruition there. So I was really, really happy for him, and and that's kind of what we envisioned. So it lined up nicely.
Chris, you had Julius when he was younger.
Yeah.
Is he the same person that you have now? Have you seen him grow or evolve just differently personality-wise and things like that?
No, he's far more mature. I think he's far more comfortable in who he is as a basketball player in this league. He's played in New York under great scrutiny. I think he wears that pretty well. I think that ultimately has been a benefit for him, and he's just more mature in all the ways that we would expect.
How extraordinary is it that you not only have quote-unquote 8 starters, but that the people coming off the bench can give you different types of blended lineups?
Yeah.
And not only that, but the people who are getting subbed out are in on the program.
Yeah.
It just seems like that 8 has incredibly wide bandwidth.
Yeah, they do. We can not only do they have games that complement each other, but we can employ them in different ways. I think that's really been. We felt coming into the season that was going to be one of our strengths. It's taken us a little while to get there, but all credit to the guys. They kind of have understood and they've trusted that process. And now you see it paying dividends. And at this point in time, it's just about rooting for the greater good, and that's what we feel as we got going on right now.
How important in the playoffs would be last year, this year, is just conditioning and things like that as a playoff goes on or as a series goes deeper, especially with the amped up physicality.
Yeah.
You know, we see teams maybe getting a little tired in fourth quarters
Sure.
as the series goes on. Just how important has that been in the last couple of years here, that factor in a playoff series?
Yeah, I think it's huge. You know, this series is going to be an every other day series. Last series was kind of almost every 2 days. Puts a lot of emphasis on your conditioning, your ability to recover fast. You know, and as those games pile up, you know, that of course they're going to take its toll. So those are things that you learn as you go through these things time and again. So I feel like our guys had a pretty good feel for that last year.
Ant said he was going to maybe re-examine how he approached conditioning. How have you seen him change his routine at all, or really try to amp that up this time of year, learning from what he did last year?
Yeah, I think just first of all, you know, recognizing it that is part of this first part of learning. You know, I've just seen him kind of a little bit more attentive in all of his preparation, and you know, probably just, you know, kind of resting in between games and getting all the proper rest that you need that during the regular season maybe you don't do as diligently.
How have you seen Julius kind of influence Ant's routine too?
Well, I mean, Julius is a consummate worker. He's always in the gym. Both of them love to come back and get extra shots up at night. And they're both, you know, actually, one thing I have seen is Ant now goes to the gym super early. Julius goes to on game day. Julius will go, you know, three and a half hours or before, get his work in. When no one else is in the gym, no one else is on the floor, and Ant follows him now. So that's been a good, you know, kind of a good tandem. And I think that's really helped Ant's preparation. He used to kind of get his work in closer to tip-off, but now I think, you know, he gets his work in and then he can pace the rest of his preparation, and doesn't probably feel as rushed for him. So
You should kind of have a full roster of guys who, if like guys like Dante and Akil, even if they're not scoring, they're finding a way to
Yeah.
control, whether it's boards, defense.
Yeah.
Is that something that you and Tim have been able to identify players? Is that something you coach them, or some guys just built with that innate ability to just contribute no matter what, even if they're not scoring?
well, I mean, that's what you want. I mean, Tim's made it a point coming in here to find as many two-way players as possible, many complete basketball players as possible. We feel we have that. You know, it's not always going to be everybody's night to score. You know, in the playoffs, you're going to get maybe some open looks just because of the way they're guarding your teammates, and you got to stay ready to knock those down. Those guys haven't really connected at a high level for their shooting yet, but the reason that they've been able to be so impactful is because of all the other little things that they do. Whether it's getting their hands on the ball, rebounding, creating pace, finding their teammates playmaking opportunities. So those are things that we just preach all the time, you know, and those are the type of players that you want, honestly.